Before we start the video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I appreciate all the support I received from you. And as always, all the information in my videos is rumors taken from the internet or the street. I'm not saying the information is fact.
Pick your mans up.
Yeah, just because people used to come through shooting us every day. And this block, words can't even explain. Can't even explain.
Yeah, man.
Lil Scrapp, Baldy, 05, Young Money.
Young Money, man. They in the building.
600 boy, LA, man. LA Capone, man. Get it to him, man. OC2 boys, man. Team
Number 9, man. Number 9 shooter, you hear me?
Hey, bitch, you little bitch. Yeah. Fuck is wrong with you? Hey, I am Brick Squad. Yeah, Brick Squad, boy. Fuck is you talking about, boy?
You have to be willing to die or go to jail for 100 years if that's the lane that you're stepping in. You have to understand that whether you're 15, 16, you got to think like a man. You know what I'm saying?
So don't be in it. Oh, you're not? Why does everybody say you're only 16 years old?
They say what they want to say.
How old
So
are
how
you?
old are you?
300.
The story of Lil Scrapp.
Might well bend down a little bit.
What you mean?
Just bend down a little bit.
What you mean, like this?
Yeah, a little more. That shit looks slick, boy. Squat the knees, goof.
This is the story of Lil Scrapp, a prominent member of Mob who stood out as one of their most active figures between 2011 and 2014. I realize today that I haven't made a single video about a Mob member or anything regarding Mob's history yet, which is exactly why I wanted to do this video. Scrapp is the perfect person to start with because he put in a lot of work, had extensive family ties within the gang, and was highly active during the absolute height of the drill era. This breakdown covers his history, his impact on the block, and his legacy within Mob. I hope you enjoy the video. Lil Scrapp, whose real name was Brian Marquis Weekly, was born on March 1, 1997 in Chicago, Illinois. He grew up on the south side of Chicago. Scrapp grew up around 59th and Wabash, which that territory was known as M-Town back then, which would later become Mob. Lil Scrapp's father is a known OG from THF 46 named Big Lay. In an interview, Big Lay explained that he was just 13 years old when he was blessed into 46 by his older cousin and mentor, Molo, who was a stone and a major influence in the area. Scrapp also had an older brother, Ruga, who is not Big Les's biological son. Ruga shared the same mother as Scrapp, but he has always looked at Big Lay as his father. Scrapp belonged to a massive family with many well-known street figures as his cousins. For example, he was related to Duck and Brick from STL, Raheem from THF 46, and Dusky and Beans from Mob, just to name a few. Growing up, Scrapp was known for being a bit of a hothead, but he still did well in school and loved playing basketball. Scrapp attended Carter Elementary School, which was widely known as a GD-affiliated school. It was filled with kids who would eventually grow up to become members of Mob, Jaro, and various other neighborhood sets. However, the school also included kids like Mikado, who would later join 600. At the time, these different groups were not enemies at all. In fact, Scrapp's best friend growing up was Mikado himself, and the two were practically inseparable. Every day after school, Scrapp would walk from Carter to the Boys and Girls Club, or the center on 63rd and Wabash, always bringing Mikado along with him. The loyalty between Scrapp and Mikado ran deep. On one occasion during a basketball game, Mikado even got into a physical fight with his own neighborhood friends just to defend Scrapp after a hard foul. Tay later commented on their bond, noting that they were so close in life that now that they have both passed away, they are likely chilling together wherever they are. Because of how close they were, Mikado actually came very close to becoming a Mob member himself, as Scrapp heavily tried to recruit him into the set. While Scrapp was essentially destined to join Mob due to his brothers and friends, Mikado didn't have any family ties to either side, except Day. However, as Mikado spent more time and grew closer with the guys who would form 600, he reached a tipping point where he was forced to choose a side. Once he made that choice, there was no turning back. This decision placed Scrapp and his childhood best friend on opposite sides of what would soon escalate into a full-scale war. As the beef got worse, particularly the conflict involving Mob, outside pressure began to strain the friendship. Mikado's friends from 600, especially older figures like Stello, who served as a bridge between the older Brick City generation and the younger 600 members, strongly pressured him to stop bringing Scrapp around for safety reasons. Similarly, Scrapp received warnings from his own family and Mob circle, advising him to distance himself from Mikado due to the growing risk of violence. Despite these severe risks, their deep bond allowed them to maintain their friendship much longer than anyone expected. Eventually, as the violence escalated between Mob and Black Disciple sets like 600 and Week City, the two best friends were left with no other choice but to fully commit to their respective sides. Mikado chose 600 because of his neighborhood connections and his growing bond with several members, while Scrapp locked in with Mob due to his deep family ties and childhood friends. To cement the divide, Mikado later flipped his affiliation from Gangster Disciple to Black Disciple, creating an even wider rift. This transition meant that Scrapp, along with other Mob members Mikado used to hang out with, like Beans and Bookie, were now officially his enemies. Before diving into Scrapp's personal history, it is crucial to understand the roots of Mob, as the context of his actions makes no sense without knowing where he came from. Mob is a Gangster Disciple set located around 56th to 59th from Wabash to State Street, officially forming around 2006 to 2007. But their foundation goes back much further to the 1990s when the block was controlled by a set known as the 59th Lynch Mob, which later evolved into M-Town. Another key piece of this puzzle is Von World, also known as Bully Gang, which emerged as its own entity following a split in M-Town around 2007. While Von World never went completely extinct, they were steadily losing ground in their ongoing conflicts with neighboring Blackgate and Front Street, which naturally caused Mob to step in and take over a massive portion of Von World's original territory. Despite outsiders often viewing Von World and Mob as two distinct sets, the members themselves have always considered each other basically the same thing because they share the same origins, the same territory, the same nation, and the same main rivals, with the only real difference being that Mob became the muscle and the true defenders of the block. The acronym Mob originally stood for Mind on Business, and the set initially lived up to its name by focusing mostly on making money. But as the overall gang climate in Chicago rapidly shifted toward hyper-localized block wars, they were forced to adapt and change their focus from getting to the bag to fighting a heavy war against their enemies. As I have already mentioned, mob originates from a larger set called Mugtown, or M-Town, which originally came from the project buildings on 51st and Calumet. They were a massive hood whose territory stretched all the way from 51st to 62nd. But they broke up around 2007, which is when the younger guys stepped up and created Mob. By that time, M-Town had already lost several members in a bloody, early war with Front Street, losing Studda in 2002, Worm in 2003, Limo in 2005, and Mike Ball in 2006. While it is unknown exactly who murdered Studda, it is alleged that Front Street was behind it, and the member who killed Worm was Merc D, also known as Max from Front Street, who is currently serving 79 years in prison for the crime. M-Town quickly retaliated for those losses by killing Emo from Front Street in 2004, with Seji alleged to be the killer. Front Street caught another body on M-Town in 2005 when Limo was shot and killed, allegedly by Blood Money, who is also rumored to have had a second body on M-Town. M-Town retaliated 2 years later in 2007 by killing K-Killa from Front Street, and Frito Santana was also alleged to have killed a member named Lonnie affiliated with M-Town during this period. This early war between M-Town and Front Street was incredibly hot, and while there are likely a few more bodies dropped in the early 2000s connected to this beef, another M-Town member named M. Murda was also killed around this time, though it is unconfirmed if Front Street did it, as some rumors suggest he was actually backdoored. As you can see, the beef between M-Town and Front Street goes back a very long time, but it is actually one of the few wars on the South Side that was fought over money and territory rather than a girl or some other petty drama. The war originally kicked off when M-Town started trapping on Front Street's turf, leading to an M-Town member getting robbed, which prompted them to strike back by shooting one of the guys from Front Street. Back then, M-Town was known as a snake set that was always turning on other sets and backdooring people, much like 800 does today. Meanwhile, their beef with Brick City, which was basically the same as Front Street back then since their territories were so close and many members from both sides claimed Dipset, apparently started because Brick City shot up Mob Domo's grandmother's house right in Brick City's neighborhood. Mob retaliated for this by smoking Baldy, and Scrapp dropped Lil Steve just 2 months later, keeping the war hot ever since. Over the years, the violence has died down because most of the older members, especially from Mob, have moved on from the gangbanging lifestyle to become family men or focus on making money, while others are either dead or locked up. The younger generation, known as Scrap Gang, do not really beef with 600 like that anymore and are instead much more focused on Front Street, having simply inherited the old conflict from M-Town and the older Mob generation to keep it going. All of this early history directly connected the M-Town and Brick City rivalry to the 2011 war between Mob and 600, so when Mob was created and 600 formed a few years later, it was only natural for them to inherit the bad blood, with Lil Scrapp ultimately sparking the deadly new chapter of their beef. Even though certain individual members were actually cool with each other at first, like Mikado and Scrap, and people from both sides would frequently attend the same parties, the underlying tension between 600 and Mob was already simmering. Because Brick City had already been beefing heavily with the M-Town faction that eventually birthed Mob, the creation of 600 essentially meant the new set stepped right into an inherited, pre-existing war, just with a younger generation that was the exact same age as them. Once Mob and 600 fully established themselves, things escalated at a rapid pace. A major catalyst for this was timing. The drill music scene was just starting to blow up, and social media platforms began playing a massive role in fueling street beef. It wasn't just about physical fights on the block anymore. It quickly turned into high-stakes shootings and constant, public dissing online for the entire city to see. What matters though is that the cycle of violence was already very active before 600 even officially formed. Once 600 fully joined the fray with younger, hungry members eager to prove themselves, the environment became significantly more volatile. By 2011, the bodies truly started dropping, and the war kicked into overdrive. The first major loss of that year was Lil Steve, not Memo's brother, from Brick City, who was killed in a drive-by shooting in late May 2011, allegedly by Mob. Roughly 2 months later, 600 took another devastating hit when Baldy was shot and killed, a hit also attributed to Mob. From the jump, Mob proved to be an incredibly tough matchup for 600. In fact, it was well known that even certain members inside 600 dreaded sliding on Mob's blocks because the set had a fierce reputation for retaliating both quickly and hard. On September 2, 2007, shortly after the fall of M-Town and the creation of Mob, a 10-year-old Lil Scrapp lost his friend Junebug from Mob, who was only 14 years old when he was killed. Despite his young age, Junebug was a known hothead for Mob who caused a lot of trouble for the opposition. As I mentioned earlier, the beef originally started because Mob would rob Front Street members since they were making the most money, and Junebug was actively involved in those robberies. His reputation grew significantly after October 6, 2006, when Jimmy from M-Town was killed by Front Street, prompting M-Town to retaliate 2 weeks later by allegedly killing Don from Brick City. Junebug was rumored to be one of the shooters on that hit. Apparently, another member told him to open fire, and they later tried to make it look like a robbery gone wrong just to cover their tracks because they noticed a witness. This situation earned Junebug massive respect within Mob, and he is still honored by the block today. Tragically, just a year after that hit, Junebug's life was cut short while he was sitting in the back seat of a car with 2 other Mob members. Another vehicle pulled up and fired multiple shots before speeding away, leaving Junebug with multiple fatal gunshot wounds, while Rob from Mob was also hit and left paralyzed in a wheelchair. For a long time, many people believed Dada from Front Street was the one who killed Junebug, but Mama Duck came out a couple of years ago and debunked that rumor. According to the actual police investigation, Cabbage from Blackgate was identified as the real alleged killer. The reason people originally thought Front Street did it is because they claimed heavy involvement on social media, and it is easy to see why, since sets rarely claim a hit that hard unless one of their own members was actually in the car. It is nearly impossible to know the absolute truth today, but police reports at least indicate that Cabbage wasn't the only one in the vehicle during the ambush. Because of his status, Junebug became one of Mob's most beloved fallen members, but he also became the member who has been dissed the most by their rivals, essentially becoming the Tuka of Mob. The block's steep love for him and their hatred for the opposition was cemented early on, with members frequently wearing t-shirts that read, "R.I.P. Junebug, F. Steve Drive." Junebug and Scrapp were quite close with each other, and Junebug shared that same tight bond with Scrapp's brother, Ruga. Because Scrapp heavily looked up to the older guys on the block like Junebug, losing him at such a young age was hard. This loss deeply impacted Scrapp, who just a couple of years down the line would start catching bodies himself. What's truly crazy is that after Junebug was killed, Mob didn't lose a single member to the streets until Scrapp himself was killed 7 years later in 2014. Blackgate is a Black Disciple set located on 54th and Indiana in the Washington Park neighborhood, and it is famously home to Benzo and Odee, who are easily their most recognizable members. The set originally started around 1998 to 1999 and gets its unique name from the actual Blackgates that fence off many of the houses and apartment buildings throughout their territory. Blackgate is a moderately deep set that has been heavily active since at least the early 2000s, operating under several different names over the years, including Tizzle Gang, TP Gang, BGC, and Wayne's World. Geographically, Blackgate rivals all of the nearby Gangster Disciple sets that surround their block, a list that includes both Von World and Mob, as well as their predecessor, M-Town. To hold down their territory against these threats, Blackgate maintains strong, long-standing alliances with other major Black Disciple sets like 600, Front Street, and THF 46. These allies make strategic sense, as those three sets are also bitter rivals of Mob and Von World, both of whom have lost key members to all three sets over the years. On July 17, 2011, only a few months after Tuka's death, Baldy was killed, marking the first loss in 600's history and arguably Lil Scrapp's first body. There are two main theories regarding who killed Baldy, and determining the absolute truth remains difficult as it largely relies on the conflicting statements of various individuals. Baldy, whose real name was Marcus London, was out on the 6000 block of South Prairie Avenue alongside fellow 600 members Buka and Breezy when two men pulled up and opened fire, striking Baldy in the head. Breezy, who was standing directly in front of Baldy, later stated that one of the bullets actually grazed his own dreadlocks. Buka attempted to return fire during the ambush but accidentally shot himself in the ankle. Baldy was rushed to the hospital, where he was tragically pronounced dead. The two primary theories attribute the shooting to either Mob or STL, with Lil Scrapp consistently named as the primary suspect from the Mob side. The first theory, which is the longest standing and widely considered by many to be the most likely scenario, points directly to Mob, specifically identifying Lil Scrapp as the shooter. When people talk about Mob doing it, They used to blame Domo and Cleon, but 600 Breezy, who was right there and saw the shooters, said all the way back in 2014 that Baldy's killer was already dead. That means it probably wasn't Domo or Cleon, because Domo is in prison for life for killing Pyro from 800, and Cleon is in prison for a gun charge, meaning both are still alive. If Breezy is telling the truth, that leaves other mob members like Scrapp, Bebe, Mano, and Beans. A lot of old tweets connect mob to the hit, like in 2012 when Andrilla from 051 tweeted, "Shout out mob for making it Baldy World," and in 2014 when Cap FCK12 from 600 tweeted, "And you know, for Baldy we will never stop, F mob." Out of everyone, Scrapp and Mano make the most sense, as a tweet from a couple of years later directly said, "He mob, they made Baldy World," while talking about both of them. Scrapp also dissed Baldy online all the time, often mocking him and Lil Steve in the same posts, tweeting things like, "You better duck your taka like Baldy tried to," and, "They know mob made Baldy World." Right after Baldy died, 600 started targeting mob heavy, leading to a lot of back and forth violence where Nut from mob shot at and chased Boss Move from 600 in December 2012. C-Day from 600 shot Mano from mob and bragged about it all over Twitter in 2013. And of course Scrapp would be killed in 2014, which we will come to later in the story. When it comes to the STL theory, the evidence pointing to STL/EBT is much more vague, with Main, Lil B, and Bostrel rumored to be involved. Odee's mother actually pointed out Main as her son's killer, and the police report from Odee's murder states that the exact same gun was used in Baldy's murder a month earlier. However, the police reports for Odee's death name several different people, including K.I., Bostrel, and Main, which is why Bostrel and Main got linked to Baldy's murder too, even though most people say Mob did it. Since Mob was also involved in Odee's murder, it is hard to know who actually held the gun used in both crimes, especially since Scrapp and Beans were rumored to be there, prompting Ruga from Mob to later rap, "They do not even know who made the OSTL," was well known for claiming murders they didn't actually commit, often taking credit for things EBT or Mob did. On top of that, guns are passed around like candy in the hood. People buy, steal, or share them all the time, making it nearly impossible to tie a specific weapon to just one person. There is also a strong theory that both sets pulled off the hit together, just like they did with Odee, which is the theory I lean towards, that it was Main from STL and Scrapp from Mob, or possibly just Scrapp and Mano from Mob. While K.I. once tweeted, "We made Baldy World," she was notorious for chasing clout, and the vast majority of people, including 600 themselves, believe Mob and Scrapp in specific was truly responsible, even though some 600 members have dissed STL by saying they are dials for Baldy World. Scrapp wasn't done after Baldy, he was out for more blood. On August 10, 2011, the war between Mob, STL/EBT, and Jaro City against Wick City escalated and changed forever. A massive group from the Allied sets was out that day looking to either fight or catch someone from the other side, and one of those members was Lil Scrapp from Mob. After searching for a while, they spotted Odee Perry, one of Wick City's top members at the time. Odee had been at a store in the plaza across from the Wick, and as he left and started riding his bike down King Drive, 2 shooters popped out near the AutoZone. Surveillance cameras captured a car driving up and stopping on a street perpendicular to where Odee was riding, which is where the shooters reportedly came from. They opened fire, striking Odee once in the buttock and once in the neck, with the neck wound exiting through his left shoulder. As Odee fell from his bike, the shooters fled the scene. Odee was rushed to Stryger Hospital, where he was tragically pronounced dead. In his honor, Wick City would later rename their neighborhood O Block, a name that would eventually become famous worldwide. Odee was a major front figure for Wick City and a heavy hitter against his rivals. Originally coming from Buff City and already owning his own guns, he was highly active in the street. She had been shot at, took hits, and fired back at enemies, including the time he shot at Gotti from Ragtown. Odee also mentored several younger Wick City members, teaching them how to slide and rob people. King Von even referenced this guidance in his song Pull Up, rapping, "Oh, told me when I go sliding show no mercy." Because of this, Odee was incredibly important to Wick City. While it is known he was killed by the STL/EBT and Mob Alliance, countless names have been tied to the shooting over the years, including K.I., FBG Butta, Boss Trell, Scrap, and Beans. The exact shooters remain a mystery because police documents contain conflicting stories, but everything points to Lil Scrapp being on the scene. In fact, the police officially listed Scrapp as a possible suspect, and there is a high probability he was one of the shooters. Supporting this, Clutch from Mob once posted a picture of Scrapp inside Parkway Gardens using Ruga's lyrics as the caption. They don't even know who made the O. Additionally, Botsky from Hottyway/E Block, who is Wooski's brother and used to be on Reddit, confirmed in a discussion that Scrapp was one of the gunmen. Not to mention, Lil Scrapp himself used to diss Odee all the time on Twitter, often adding statements like, "We made O Block, them other people lying." If this is true, that Scrapp was one of the triggermen, it means Odee was the second murder Scrapp was involved in within just a 2-month span, and he was only 14 years old at the time. Scrapp was quickly cementing himself as a real menace and a shooter that Mob's enemies genuinely feared. Just 1 month after Scrapp allegedly killed Odee, he caught his third alleged body within a 3-month span. On September 19, 2011, Lil Steve from 600/Kush Cowboys was shot and killed. He was allegedly targeted by Lil Scrapp and Moochie from Mob, and though both were arrested for the murder, they were later released due to a lack of evidence. The loss of Lil Steve was a devastating blow to 600, who later named the block Steve Drive in his honor. Lil Steve was known for being heavily active in the streets. Following the death of Baldy, who was also allegedly killed by Scrapp, Steve had reportedly retaliated by shooting up Scrapp's house after Scrapp moved near 600's territory. A wild detail from this period is that Scrapp's father would occasionally visit 600's block to beg the members not to kill his son. On the day Lil Steve was killed, 600 received a call that Scrapp was spotted on their block. Lil Steve and a few others went out to confront him, but Scrapp opened fire first. Steve was reportedly yelling at his crew to shoot back right as he was hit. There are also reports that someone on a bicycle had warned Lil Steve just moments earlier that someone was waiting to kill him. The murder occurred right in 600 territory on the 6000 block of South Prairie Avenue. Lil Steve was rushed to John H. Stryger Jr. Hospital of Cook County, where he was pronounced dead 40 minutes after the shooting took place. The rivalry between Lil Steve and Lil Scrapp was deeply personal before it ever became a full-scale block war. Before Scrapp fully jumped off the porch and joined Mob, he was frequently bullied by Lil Steve and Bite Down. Back when they all used to play basketball together, and while Scrapp was still close friends with Mikado, Steve and Bite Down would consistently try to jump him or treat him badly. One major flashpoint occurred at 62nd and Wabash, where Scrapp got into a fight with Bite Down and ended up getting jumped. Mikado was actually present for the incident but chose not to step in and help his friend. While it is unknown exactly why Lil Steve disliked Scrapp so much outside of Scrapp's deep Mob family ties, the animosity was intense. The tension peaked the day before the murder when Lil Steve and Rondo No. 9 released a song and music video that directly dissed Scrapp. The police quickly forced them to delete the video from YouTube and later attempted to use it as evidence in their investigation. This toxic history explains why the murder was legally labeled as part of an internal street gang conflict, as the two groups shared mutual acquaintances and overlapping territory. When Scrapp spotted Lil Steve walking down the block with Rondo No. 9 and a few other 600 members, the years of bullying and the recent rap video triggered an immediate response. Scrapp pulled his shirt over his face to mask his identity and opened fire with a .40 caliber handgun, striking Lil Steve in the head and chest. Following the shooting, the investigation almost locked Scrapp away. It is widely alleged that Face from 600 initially snitched and gave a statement to investigators naming the shooters. However, Face later recanted his statement on the stand. Because both Scrapp and Moochie kept their mouths completely shut during interrogation, the state was left with a lack of evidence and was forced to drop all charges, letting both of them walk free. What you can't forget is that Scrapp was only 14 years old when he beat this murder case. I'm not saying this so people feel sorry for him, but rather to show how crazy it is that a 14-year-old child kills another child and then has to fight a murder charge at such a young age. Ruga, who had a very close bond with Scrapp as his older brother, talked about this situation on Instagram. He wrote, "As a big brother, I never wanted to see my little brother in the streets. It hurt me to know that he had jumped off the porch, but I had to accept that. I tried my best to keep my brother level-headed and out of this shit. I hated seeing him out there picking up guns and developing those bad habits. My little brother was fighting a murder case at 14 years old. It fucked me up to see him go through that, and to see our mom go through that pain. I saw fear in his eyes every single court date. He was only a kid going through this, just to get killed a few years later. I watched my little brother lying on the ground lifeless. It changed me forever. If you have a little brother out there trying to be in the streets, make sure you really tell him what comes with it. It's not a game. You don't get two lives out here. I love you forever. Scrap Gang for life. Scrap spent 2 to 3 months locked up while fighting the murder charge. He eventually beat the case and was released from the juvenile detention center around April 2012. As soon as he got out, he went right back to doing the exact same things he did in 2011, shooting at rivals. For example, in the summer of 2012, he allegedly shot into a whole crowd of people. Him and Cleon also allegedly shot L.A. Capone in 2012. However, he didn't catch any bodies in 2012. Scrap stayed active throughout all of 2012, but in the spring of 2013, he was arrested yet again. He was likely caught with a weapon and charged with illegal gun possession. Because Scrap was still only 16 years old at the time, he was charged as a juvenile. Finding the exact record for this is difficult since the Chicago Police Department does not easily release juvenile files. Either way, Scrap was locked up again and ended up spending a significant amount of time in the detention center, only gaining his release around January or February of 2014. Once he was back on the streets in 2014, he went right back to his old habits. You couldn't stop Scrap. He really seemed like the kind of person who gave everything to that lifestyle and did as much as he could, fully aware that he would eventually get caught or get killed. As the timeline moves toward June 2014, the violence surrounding Scrap reached a breaking point. In the single month leading up to his death on June 7th, Scrap survived being shot on 2 separate occasions. The first time, he was shot in the foot or leg. Just a few days later, he was targeted again, this time taking 2 bullets to the chest and 1 to the shoulder. Miraculously, he survived both ambushes. While it is difficult to confirm exactly who pulled the triggers, street reports heavily suggest that Front Street and 600 were behind the 2 separate shootings. Despite his fresh injuries, Scrap remained extremely active. Either the day before or the very day he was killed, he reportedly slid on Front Street territory and shot both Nino and Meatball, though both survived the attack. According to his brother Ruga, the only things Scrap did during the final week of his life were play NBA 2K, smoke weed, and go on hits. On the day Scrap died, Ruga allegedly recalled that they were playing 2K together before Scrap got up to head out. Ruga tried to stop him, saying something along the lines of, "You shouldn't leave the house, you just got shot." Scrap simply replied, "I'ma die anyway, I see it coming."
Go get you some money. I just want it. That's that shit that went. I just want it. Hey, fuck you though, nigga. He's talking about fuck him though, nigga. MOB before anything. I just want it all though. I feel that song though, but you still a bitch.
We have now come to the end of this story about Lil Scrapp. It is now the summer of 2014. And after a very hot spring in terms of bodies getting dropped, it is sadly Scrap's turn to fall victim to the gang violence he was so deeply involved in. What is particularly jarring is that given his heavy reputation, you would think Scrap was an older adult by this point, but he was only 17 years old in 2014. He had put in so much work at such a young age that it easily masked how young he actually was. On June 7th, Scrap was standing in an alley on the 5600 block of South Wabash Avenue, right in the heart of mob territory. He wasn't alone. He was standing with Moochie from Mob, the exact same member who was allegedly right by his side when he allegedly killed Lil Steve back in 2011. While they were hanging out in the alley, a black car suddenly pulled up. Two men jumped out of the vehicle and ran directly into the alley toward Lil Scrapp and Moochie, guns drawn and aimed straight at them. The offenders unleashed a barrage of a dozen shots, striking both Lil Scrapp and Moochie multiple times. Sadly, Lil Scrapp was pronounced dead right at the scene after getting hit 11 times. Moochie, however, was rushed to John H. Strodger Jr. Hospital of Cook County in critical condition. He miraculously survived his injuries and remains alive to this day. Following the shooting, police interviewed witnesses who reported seeing a black vehicle speeding away from the scene. This was a massive score for whoever was involved. Scrapp was easily one of Mob's most prominent figures, and if the shooters had managed to take out Moochie as well, it would have been an unprecedented blow to the set. Moochie held nearly the exact same high-profile status as Scrapp on the streets, so much so that Tay from 600 later named Moochie as the biggest and most dangerous op he ever had to face. The debate over who really killed Lil Scrapp and tried to take out Moochie in June 2014 has gone on for a long time. At first, everyone blamed 600. It looked like a clear revenge hit for the ongoing war with Mob, especially since Scrapp was the main suspect in the 2011 murder of Lil Steve. This theory spread fast because 600 members tweeted about it right after it happened, and the old Chicago basement wiki, which often mixed facts with rumors, helped push the story. There were also clues that made people believe it. Most notably, Scrapp's brother Ruga rapped the famous line in Exposing Me, "Do it for Scrapp, we made 600 change blocks." Because Ruga dissed Lil Boo throughout that same song, many people took the lyric as a direct call-out to Lil Boo, positioning him as one of the shooters. On top of that, King Von and Memo 600 dissed Scrapp for years, and Cap FCK12 mocked him on social media, making it easy to assume 600 did it. For a long time, the internet claimed the shooters were Lil Boo, who was killed a year later, and Jude Blow 600, who is currently in prison for a different murder. But when you look closely at the actual details instead of the online hype, the 600 theory starts to fall apart. The deeper you look into the case, the more it seems the real killers did not come from 600 at all. Instead, the evidence points to a much less talked about gang called Shields. Let's break that down next. What's strange about the theory involving Shields is that no specific names have ever come out, and nobody from that set has been publicly tied to the murder of Lil Scrapp. This might be because Shields members weren't as well known, so people don't pin bodies on them the way they do with 600's more famous faces. Still, I'm not here to say which theory is 100% correct. Even though I personally believe Shields was behind it, I acknowledge there's still a real possibility that it could have been 600. For example, Lil D from 600 once tweeted, "F Lil Scrapp, Lil D Maker," strongly implying involvement. There are examples for both sides, 600 and Mob, where members have claimed the hit on Scrapp, which is part of what makes this case so murky. Yes, 600 has gotten the most credit, but that's likely because many of them were high-profile rappers with large platforms. The spotlight makes their actions more visible, whether it is true or not. What is clear is that someone is lying, and maybe even multiple sides are. You also have to remember that families can lie too, either to protect someone, to push a narrative, or out of pure emotion. Take Scrapp's family for instance. His father allegedly says Shields did it, while his brother Lay insists it was 600. To make things even more confusing, Looney B apparently retracted his previous statements about the killing, possibly because he realized he was incriminating himself or others too much. In the end, we are left with speculation, and honestly, speculation only gets us so far. The truth might never come out, and that is just the reality with many of these street cases. There are simply too many moving pieces and too much silence. In summary, Scrapp was an incredibly violent teenager who became active in the streets very early in his life. He jumped off the porch at an extremely young age and started catching bodies early on. This fearless mindset earned him an immense amount of respect on the block, a legacy that still stands today. In the eyes of his peers, he was a young king holding down the block and carrying the weight of the war against their opponents. Scrapp was profoundly beloved by Mob. The overwhelming support he received while locked up, and the sheer number of people who paid homage to him after his death, showed just how deeply he was cared for. It remains truly crazy how young he was, yet the amount of work he put in made him seem decades older than he actually was. In many ways, his trajectory mirrors that of Bebe from Mob, another figure who put in massive work at a remarkably young age. Rest in peace, Lil Scrapp. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay safe, and may God bless you all. Let me know what you want to see next.